Good evening from PLUGHITZ Studios in Largo, Florida. I'm Scott.
I'm Abram.
And we are here with episode 498 of F5 Live, Refreshing Technology, for April 22nd, 2018. This show is a proud part of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. This week, mobile messaging gets more confusing, Capcom shows why free-to-play is annoying, and at&t announces a new streaming service under oath. Wherever you are and however you're accessing our show, whether it be on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, our live stream services on Facebook Live, livestream.com, Mixer, Periscope, Twitch, or YouTube Live, on subscription at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music Podcasts, the Podcast Play app in the Windows Store, the myriad of other podcatchers, or of course on our app, plughitslive.com/apps. Thank you for making us a part of your day. There's a couple ways you can do that. As I said, this is F5 Live, Refreshing Technology, the flagship show on the PLUGHITZ Live family of content. We are live Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern for about an hour. The first way you can join us is by going to f5live.tv/join us, and there you can chat with us in the studio during the show, give us your feedback on the topics as we talk about them, whether it be any of the main topics or the Pilch Point, which this evening we will be talking about the best and worst laptop brands. We want to hear what you have to say. The best way to do that is either on Mixer, on Twitch, or on YouTube Live. Those are the places that are easiest for us to follow the chat. If you're not able to join us live, that is okay. You can also go to plughitslive.com/subscribe. There you will see all of our series, including F5 Live and the Pilch Point, as well as our special events feed, which next week will begin Collision 2018 from New Orleans. Our first look series, which the 2017-2018 season just came to an end today with World Championships. Well, I guess almost came to a conclusion with World Championships in Houston ending, and then in 2 weeks it'll be in Detroit, and then that'll be the end of the season, or any of our other series as well. And I guess with that, Avro, how's your week been?
Hey, great. It's been good. It's been very busy, very, very busy. It's a lot of stuff going on at work to get out our best and worst brands story, which we'll be talking about later, and to get up the new template for some new templates for our best laptops and best gaming laptops pages.
Nice.
So a lot of little stuff behind the scenes,
Sure.
Doing work, and it's I'm ready for a really challenging week this coming week. That's for sure.
Well, I can certainly appreciate the whole. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. I've written, I think, 3 different apps this week in an attempt to contact companies for Collision. So, I totally understand that.
Yeah. Oh man, so much to do.
Automation is not nearly as automated as people think it is.
No, definitely not.
Oh my goodness. I imagine you've had some interesting response to the best and worst so far. We'll talk about the details of it later.
Yeah. I mean, always some interesting responses to that. And this coming week is going to be quite the challenge. I won't get to make a big spiel here, but if you sign on, if you follow me on social media or anything like that, you may notice, I'm not, again, going to make a big deal out of this, that my job title's changing effective tomorrow. I'm taking on a slightly different, I'm taking on a different role, but still a lot of tech reporting, where I have been online editorial director. It's weird to be an online editorial director. We don't have a, when I started, we actually had a print magazine.
Print magazine.
That's why, hence the title, it never changed.
Interesting.
Instead of being online editorial director for Laptop Mag and for Tom's Guide, I'm going over, at least on an interim basis, to be editor-in-chief of Tom's Hardware starting tomorrow, so starting Monday. Tom's Hardware, for those who don't know the difference, we have Tom's Guide and we have Tom's Hardware. Tom's Guide is our consumer tech brand, cover mainstream consumer electronics, and really targeted at, really people of, if you're a regular mainstream consumer, Tom's Guide is great for you. And then we have Tom's Hardware, which is an enthusiast tech site. And at Tom's Hardware, we do a lot of really in-depth reviews of things like CPUs and motherboards and power supplies. So I've been asked to take over and try and help that brand, grow and become a even more powerful publication for the 2020s or whatever. So wherever we're heading into. At least on an interim basis, and I hope it won't be interim. So please visit the site and make sure that doesn't. So we get some visitors. I'm going to do my best to help them. I'm very excited. We have some really great experts there, and my goal is to make that site, to make Tom's Hardware, to help everyone there, make it an even more accessible and appealing place for enthusiasts. So, I think we'll obviously continue our bread and butter component reviews, but I'm hoping that we'll get into some other coverage areas that will attract a whole new audience of people. Get into doing things like Raspberry Pi and Arduino maker stuff. We will be doing a lot more reviews of finished pre-built computers, whereas now they don't really do many laptop and desktop reviews.
Gotcha.
Mainly do the components. So, it's a big challenge ahead for sure. This is a very storied brand, been around for 22 years. I'm very honored to be given the opportunity, but I'm not going to spend a long time talking about, hey, my job changed, because I got a job to do. But
right.
But just so people aren't, if I get too busy patting myself on the back for being the interim editor.
Oh no. Uh-oh. Well, we haven't had this happen in a couple of weeks, but apparently this is Avram's momentary pause. Oh, good, he's back.
Okay, yes, my trip. So all I said was, I'm not just letting everybody know I'm not making a big deal out of it, because if I spend too much time patting myself on the back for getting for this, then interim editor-in-chief is all I will be. So there's a lot of work to be done, and I gotta, return the confidence that our management has shown in me by helping grow this website. So anyway, but I love anyone who's a listener here, who is a watcher here of F5 Live. I would love to hear from you about what you would like to see out of Tom's Hardware. Are you a reader? What can we do for you? Well, how can we make it better for you? I certainly have many ideas, but I'd like to hear other people's.
Sure.
So obviously, I'm at the same social media places I've always been. You can tweet me at Geek in Chief, and let's talk about it.
Awesome. Well, hopefully we can create a conversation there, because as you know, Avram, I have always been a big fan of Tom's Hardware, and I am so excited that that you're taking over the reins over there. I think that's so exciting. I know you and I have talked about it a little bit, and I'm so excited. So
yeah, me too. I just the last couple of weeks, although my officially start tomorrow. I mean, I've been in the office with these guys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they sit right behind me, so I've been dealing with them already about a third of the day every day.
Got it.
So just tomorrow, when the people from Laptop ask me for help, I'm going to have to tell them no, or like sorry, I'll help you later. So
Right.
anyway, that's about the
Sure.
fact. I just have to, I'm gonna move my desk like 2 feet away, like 5 feet away, to the other side of the cube row, and that will be it. But anyway,
That's pretty funny.
I'm excited to be working with some really great people and to have a really great enthusiast audience that I hope to help grow.
Absolutely. Well, we are looking forward to see what happens over there, and as you know, our audience is here to help you however they can. And with that, let's get into some news of the week. This week's Nifty Gifties on F5 Live is proudly powered by the Microsoft Store. Whether you're looking for a laptop or a tablet or a phone, mixed reality, virtual reality, or apps for your devices, it is available at the Microsoft Store with a number of deals going on right now, including saving up to $400 on select laptops, desktops, and gaming PCs. Getting a free game if you buy a new Xbox, getting a Surface laptop starting at $699, which is $100 off right now, and a whole lot more. And you can find all of those deals by going to f5live.tv/Microsoft. Okay, so let's talk about chat. It's a topic, Avram, that you and I have discussed a number of times with acquisitions and stuff, and our own confusion with the bizarre growth of the industry and the very high valuation of the services in the industry. It always seems surprising when one of them gets purchased, because it seems like everybody is able to make a chat or messaging service and grow its audience quickly. Almost. The exception, of course, is Google, right? They have tried a painful number of times. There was Google Talk and a service called Google Chat. There's Google Hangouts, which was neutered in favor of Google LO, and part of its features went that way, and part of its features went to YouTube. And at this point, it's almost a valueless brand. And then there's Google LO, which never gained any traction with anybody. And so Google Talk, I believe, is gone. Google Chat's been gone for eons. Hangouts is still hanging on. Google Allo, officially this week, is being abandoned in favor of another product called Chat. Not Google Chat. That one's gone. This is just called Chat. Now, let's talk about what Chat is. Chat is a rich communication system platform that they have been working with carriers. So in this case, they've already got support behind it before they announced it officially, which is a huge change for them. And the idea is SMS can only do so much. MMS can only do so much. And you've got services like Facebook Messenger and iMessage that have, game capability and animation and all this stuff in it that SMS and MMS simply don't support. And so RCS, which is the standard that Chat runs on, is the goal. It's the integrator. So whether you have, a Samsung on Verizon or you've got a Motorola on Sprint, it won't matter. You'll be able to have those types of features. And Chat is the Google-powered backbone to make that happen. They've worked with almost every major carrier, and by major, I mean globally. And by major, I mean in the U.S., the big four are on board, but if you're on U.S. Cellular, sad story, they're not interested at all. So nothing Google can do about that. Now, here's the thing that I find interesting about chat. It has one major competitor in the market that is also owned by Google. They bought and rebranded a platform called Google Jibe, which is what Sprint uses right now. Sprint is the only U.S. carrier to fully support RCS today, and they do it on Google's backbone. But now they have a second one, theoretically, to do the same thing. What is happening in that company?
So here's what I don't understand, and I should probably know more about this, but for the benefit of our audience,
sure.
Does this work over the SMS communication channel?
No.
So it's an app?
No. It is to be integrated, just like SMS, right? For SMS to work on a device, the device has to know about it. But all devices since about 2002 have supported it in one way or another. At least in North America. I don't know when it was implemented elsewhere. But in North America, 2002 is about when all devices had it built in. But it required the device to know about it, and that's when you could guarantee that it did. This would require the device to know about it, but since it and it's a network level platform. So 54, I believe, of the major manufacturers of devices worldwide have all said they're ready to go. Once the networks can support it, we are ready to do it. Android's messaging app has supported it natively for several years. And if I'm not mistaken, Palm's messaging app supported it too, but there were no networks in the US that supported it at the time, because the standard, the RCS standard, is a decade old today. It's been around for a very long time, longer than iMessage and Facebook Messenger have had these features. This standard's been in place. So basically, once the networks switch it on and implement it on their end using this chat, not Google Chat, but chat, most Android devices that are out in the wild today will be able to do it natively. Just good to go. Let's do it. So you wouldn't be able to do it on a Windows phone, simply because they haven't. I don't think they've implemented it, and you won't be able to do it on an iPhone, because, at least up front, because they're trying to support their own technology versus an open technology. It's the thing that they believe makes the iMessage succeed.
So what makes this significantly better than just having a third-party app like Facebook Messenger?
So it's a valid question, because there is one glaring omission in this technology and in this standard. It's not Google's implementation of it that's a problem. It's the technology as a whole. Since it's network implemented, it means that there is no end-to-end encryption. So just like SMS, anything you send is easily either requestable by the government or easily Wi-Fi sniffed.
So this sounds worse than a third-party app. Why? I just don't understand why somebody would want it. I mean, you can exchange messages with people now on a variety of apps. I don't know that this is an improvement. Like, that's the one thing that you could say about SMS is that every single phone in the world supports it.
Right.
So if you know somebody's phone number, you can send them an SMS.
Right.
But this, you'd have to know that what network, whether their carrier supported it. Maybe their carrier doesn't.
by the
do you need to know their phone number?
Yes, it'll work just like SMS. It works
only not for everyone.
Well, by the end of 2018, all of North America, all four of the major carriers will have it implemented. U.S. Cellular says they have no interest in it. So, the 18 people who are on U.S. Cellular, who knows?
But wait a second. What about Cricket? What about
Cricket is owned by AT&T and runs on AT&T's network.
I understand, but sometimes with these ones that are owned and operated, these, I don't know what you call them, discount carriers, they don't necessarily always get all the features that the parent has.
Right.
So I wouldn't take it for granted.
All of the major MVNO owners, AT&T and T-Mobile and Sprint in particular, have said that their MVNOs will all support. The towers support it. The technology will be there.
Okay.
So,
but
basically, it'll just be U.S. Cellular that's out in the cold in North America.
I mean, so I guess this is improvement on text messaging. Only I'm not sure that text messaging is the best form of messaging right now. Like, I guess it's the most intrusive. So you can guarantee that, like, you can reach someone if you have their phone number, whereas other things, they may not be logged on 24/7, although most of the apps are logged on even if you like it or not. Like,
sure.
I don't know about you, but my phone is, I mean, I turned the alert part of it off because it's too annoying, but my phone, I'm getting alerts off. I mean, I turned the buzz and sounds off because they're too annoying, but I have Skype. I have Facebook Messenger. At work, we use HipChat. And then I have SMS. And then, of course, there's email. So I have and multiple email accounts. So there's at least 6 or 7 different ways on my phone to people to contact me, fairly instantaneously. I'm not really sure that we're lacking ways to do that.
Agreed. And the idea that something like Facebook Messenger is end-to-end encrypted, WhatsApp is end-to-end encrypted, Signal, Telegram, even iMessage from Apple. Apple's proprietary version of this concept is encrypted end-to-end, but RCS will not be, just like SMS, just like MMS. And since it runs over your network connection, if you're on an unsecured network connection, it might still be able to be sniffed out of the air.
Now, is this going to replace your SMS client on your phone, or be in it?
Just like iMessage on the iPhone, it'll be seamless. You won't know when it's going over SMS or when it's going over RCS. Now, granted, on the iPhone, you technically do, because the chat bubble color changes if it's SMS or iMessage, but it's all in one place. It's all handled through the phone number. There's not an account you have to set up. There's not another app you have to have. The Android SMS app, the text app, has supported RCS for several years already, because it's been implemented on Sprint in the US, and the last I looked, it looked like there were about 8 other carriers that have it fully implemented globally. So
now
it'll be seamless to your existing texting thing.
Now, see, here's an interesting question, and this is actually like a social question more so than a technical one. So, thinking about this a little bit as we're talking about it, okay, there are things that you use your SMS for that you don't use your Facebook Messenger for. And let's be honest, Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp and all those are owned by a company, whereas these are sort of more of an open standard, so you don't have to sign up. But the downside of not having to sign up, so the plus is you're not relying on a company, I guess, unless that company is your cell phone provider or Google, but it's like an open SMS is,
because if Verizon wanted to not if Verizon wanted to not go with chat, they wanted to do another implementation, they could. It's absolutely an open thing, and nobody would know that anything happened.
Right. But the thing there is that it's interesting, like how we use the different chats in our life, right? Like, so, for example, SMS. I get from my son's school, they have my phone number and they send me SMS messages every time something happens with the school.
Sure.
Right? Snow day, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They also call, which is annoying. But anyway, every now and then it could be something really important.
Sure.
But when they called at 4 a.m. to tell me school was canceled, I was both. I was more annoyed than happy for the update. I could have waited to read the text. But
sure.
Anyway, the point is, like, the school has my phone number, but the school's not a friend of mine on Facebook.
Right.
Right. Like, and it wouldn't be.
Right.
So, when the doctor wants to remind me of an appointment or something, I get that on SMS. So I feel like things that are like official go over SMS, and now probably this RCS because they're tied to my phone number. On the flip side, I don't want every bozo that I'm friends with on Facebook having my phone number.
Right.
Now, is that weird? Because someone could try to call you on Facebook.
Sure.
On Messenger, and it would ring, or somehow, although I could disable that. But it's like, I guess, sort of a hierarchy of like who's in the circle of trust, so to speak.
Fair enough. And you can change your privacy settings, your who can call you on Facebook if you want to. But
so the phone number, anyone can call you or message you.
Exactly. I was going to say with SMS or RCS, anybody could initiate that contact.
Right. So I guess I don't know. I guess there's points to both, but I think one of the things that makes Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp and all those work is because I think, well, I don't know about WhatsApp, but for most of them, you don't have to give anybody your phone number. They need your username.
Right. Your username or your real name.
So, I guess there's still something about like, hey, I don't want to just give all these people my phone number, and I can't blame them.
Right. It's definitely interesting. It'll be really interesting to see if when this comes out, anybody cares. Because is your messaging client the place where you want stickers or whatever? Like, has Apple been successful with this? Like, do people care? I don't know anybody who uses any of that stuff in iMessage. So is this a lot of work for nothing? Or is there a segment of the population who's excited that they don't have to just play games in Facebook Messenger? I legitimately don't know. It will definitely be fascinating to see at the end of the year when the 4 networks have this rolled out and basically all the Android phones out there will support it, if anybody cares.
Maybe there's some application to it that's more interesting than we know.
Yeah, that I have to assume there is, but I haven't figured it out. This week's Pilch Point with Avram Pilch is proudly powered by Monster Products. The headphones on my head right now, the Monster DNAs, my normal headphones, the Monster Elements, and a variety of other headphones, including the all-new Monster AirLink Elements True Wireless earbuds, which I have seen, I have experienced. They are fantastic. But if you're not looking for headphones, maybe you're looking for speakers, they've got the S100 to the big S400, and of course the Monster Blaster, and all of the power and cables to connect those and all of your other devices are available at pilchpoint.live/monster. So, our favorite piece of the year came out this week.
Yep. So at Laptop Mag, every year for the last, I don't know, around 10 years. We've been doing the best and worst laptop brands. Look up we look at the top 10, most popular brands, the ones that are coming out with the majority of the notebooks, and we grade them. They get grades like in school up to, from 0 to 100. And they get graded on 5 criteria: reviews, design. Now, reviews meaning how well their product scored on our reviews the previous 12 months. So that's a big factor, as it should be. Design, support and warranty, innovation, and value and selection. So we grade them to, see who's the best and who's the worst. And I want to preface this by saying the best brand has some clunker laptops, and the worst brand, one of the 2 brands that's tied for last place, is actually makes some really fantastic products, but has some weaknesses in support. So we're not saying don't buy something from a brand because it scored low, or do buy something from a brand just because it scored high. This is merely kind of a snapshot of how they're doing. So Lenovo is once again, for the second year in a row, number 1, because primarily on the strength of really strong reviews from really strong products, like the ThinkPad X1 Carbon and the Yoga 920, 2-in-1. They did really, they got 10 Editor's Choice Awards throughout the year, which is more than 3 more than their nearest competitor, and 53% of the laptops from Lenovo we reviewed, and we reviewed a lot of them, scored 4 stars or higher. So that's a good rating. So Lenovo is number 1. HP by just 1 point less, in a nail biter, is number 2, and Dell is number 3. So and at the bottom of our list, MSI and Samsung are tied for 10th place. Now, that's really kind of unfair to MSI because they actually make some really great stuff. They did very poorly on the Tech Support Showdown. They had some real issues with their web support and their phone support, and that's a shame because they actually make some really good products. I mean, they've some really good gaming notebooks. They didn't get as many editor's choices as others, but they make some good stuff. I wouldn't discount them, but they're really hurt by their support. Samsung, on the other hand, which my colleague Sheree Smith has written an article about, she says Samsung should just stop making the laptops, and I tend to agree. Samsung has been phoning it in on laptops for years. Their stuff is often more expensive and less attractive than competitors. I mean, their Chromebooks are okay, but any of their PC notebooks are 2-in-1s. They have good tech support though, but that only gets you so far. So, right. So they did not do very well. As I said, in the middle of the pack we have Acer and Asus, Microsoft, Razer, and Apple, which is all the way down to 7th place. For the first several years we did this, Apple was always number 1. Last year they were in 5th, and this year they've dropped to 7th. It's happened because Apple's just not innovating, and their laptops are stuck in a time warp, and every change that they've made to their laptops is less and less user-friendly. So they took a keyboard that people were good at typing on, and they took the travel away to make it a little bit thinner. Their audience is creative professionals who need to plug in all kinds of devices, and they took the USB ports away. Professional video editors want to edit on Mac, but there are no 4K panels on Mac laptops. So there's just a lot of issues with Apple. It seems like their attention and their commitment is elsewhere, which is strange because they have plenty of money. You know, they're a very successful company. They could do a lot more with their PC business if they wanted to. But I feel almost like they're kind of like, well, we're gonna make these changes to your laptop, whether you like it, or whether anyone likes it or not. And there definitely are diehards that will stay with Apple because they like Mac OS. They're used to it. But you know, our ratings compare the brands. We don't, you know, we don't give them props for having been good in the past. So
Right.
so they continue to fall.
Like you said, snapshot in time.
Yes. You know, I mean, each of these brands could do things to move higher or fall lower in, you know, in next year's ratings. I mean, Lenovo actually did better last year than this. Their support declined year over year. They did worse in our tech support showdown. Dell is like kind of a tale of two brands. One Dell is the Dell that makes the XPS line and the Alienwares, which are fantastic and get great scores. And then there's the other side of Dell that makes the Inspirons. I mean, I don't know if they're actually two divisions, but
Right.
it's like when you look at the quality of the products, it's like they came from different companies, because a lot of the Inspirons are just really weak entries. They have, you know, mediocre build quality, dim screens, poor keyboards, just a lot of issues with the Inspirons. I mean, there are a couple that are okay, but and several that we think are, you know, middling, like 3-star products. But, you know, it just seems like Dell is not putting the effort into its mainstream stuff. We're not talking about like the $300 notebooks here that you would expect to be, you know, low end. We're talking about like, you know, $600, $700, $800 laptops that are, you know, that have stiffed keyboards and dim screens. I mean, dude, the average laptop selling price is like $425.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have laptops that are $600, $700 and they're really subpar, like, that's more than most people are willing to spend
Already.
So you know, we got to
Plug.
you know, they would really benefit from stepping up their game. If their Inspirons were like 25% as good as like the XPS, then they might be number one.
Plus, there's the bizarre scenario that interestingly fits more into Tom's hardware than Tom's guide, but Dell is known for having these super custom hardware components in their laptops that make maintaining the drivers difficult. You know, when Microsoft puts out the update whenever it comes out in a couple of weeks, you can all but guarantee that especially the lower end Dells, when they get the update, their video drivers are going to have a problem. We've experienced it ourselves with our own hardware. We've watched some of our development computers that were Dells. Every time a new update comes out, the laptop starts to blue screen until Dell fixes the video driver.
So you know, but nevertheless, they placed third because they have some fantastic stuff. I mean, the XPS 13 is laptop's favorite favorite laptop overall. The Alienware 17 is our favorite gaming laptop overall. So there's some really high highs and low lows there. You know, so, and HP has some really fantastic premium products and some okay mid-range products.
Mm-hmm.
So and Lenovo, the same thing. I mean, although Lenovo does have some pretty good budget systems. Now, of course, the two companies, and I'll disclose with this, that give you the most bang for your buck by far are Acer and Asus. If you're looking for an inexpensive system, Acer and Asus usually give you more for your money than anybody else. Like especially Acer. I mean, there's, you can get an Acer. Now, this, mind you, this is not like a beautiful looking laptop, but you can get an Acer E15, their 15-inch plasticky laptop with a 1080p screen, a Core i5 8th-gen processor, a 256 gig SSD, 8 gigs of RAM, and NVIDIA MX 150 graphics for $600. And the screen, while not super bright, has like over 100% color gamut, so it's not a terrible screen. So, it's not like other companies can't give you a lot for your money, or like Asus has their 403NA, which gives you like an aluminum, a beautiful aluminum chassis for like, $400. So, it's not like things have to be cheaply made if they're inexpensive.
Right. Yeah, that's an important thing to remember is that the aluminum one, that's the one that we had on the show a while back?
I think so.
Yeah, I thought so.
I also brought an Acer on, I believe, that was aluminum for the Acer Spin 1, which is $329. That's like one of the best deals in tech. Mind you, the processor is just like a Pentium, so don't expect great performance from it, but you're getting a 2-in-1 with a beautiful IPS display, really nice, like nicer than on $1,000 laptops. You're getting, a 2-in-1 with a pen, and it's all metal for $329. And actually, I think recently I saw that on sale for $299. So, that's good. On the other hand, it's unfortunately there's not a way to spend like another $200 on it and get like the good processor,
right?
And, a better storage. But it's just interesting that like companies can make things inexpensive, good stuff inexpensive if they want to. You may not get like the top components, but you can certainly get something that's well made.
Sure. My mom recently got a kind of 2-in-1, really inexpensive. It's not, high end, but nice little device. So, obviously, there's a lot more detail to this in the final write-up, right?
Oh, yes. So please check it out and go to laptopmag.com. You go to www.laptopmag.com. You'll find it on the homepage. We promote it heavily because it's our biggest story of the year. So come check it out.
And in addition to the breakdowns, the summary, there's an individual for each.
There's a report card for each of the 10 brands.
Yeah.
So you can see a detailed explanation of why Microsoft got 77 out of 100 or Asus got 81.
Very cool. Well, as you know, I love that you guys do this. It's a lot of information that consumers should have before they go buy.
Yes. That's our hope. So please check it out.
Well, I always appreciate you bringing the details of this, and obviously, as far as the Pilch point is concerned, we've got a little bit of time before the next episode, which works out because that'll give you a little bit of time to ease into Tom's Hardware and bring us an interesting story when we get back.
For sure.
This week's Extra Life on F5 Live is proudly powered by Razer. All the gaming accessories you need to up your game on PC or console are available from Razer, whether you're looking for a new mouse, a new keyboard, or a gaming laptop. I know, Razer wasn't scored. That's okay. They also make some really great gaming laptops, and you can save up to $730 right now on select Razer Blade laptops by going to f5live.tv/Razer. Now, we've talked about...
Did you say Razer wasn't scored?
I thought...
they actually are in our roundup.
Are they? Oh, they are. They are on there.
Yes.
I thought they weren't. Oh, I'm sorry.
Nope.
My bad. They are scored. Anyway, my bad. Sorry about that. So we've talked about this a little bit in the past, and we'll talk about it again today because games as a service is an interesting situation. And if you don't know what games as a service is, it's the kind of new gaming model where even if you're playing a single player game that does not interact with anything off of your device, you have to have an always on connection because there's some store where you can buy things or whatever. And Avram and I have talked about the problems that creates every time this particular situation happens. And let's talk about the situation. Puzzle Fighter, which is a reboot of a classic 90s game, came to mobile in November, and it contains both a single player and a multiplayer component, and people were really excited when the game came out, and it's going to be gone probably by the time you see this show, because the store is going to close, well, as of where we are right now in reality, in about 2 hours, on Monday, April 23rd. The store will shut down, and by July 31st, the servers will shut down, which means all of the game will go away. Now, what does that mean for people who have been playing it and maybe have spent money on things in the game? QQ. It's the game will shut down, and even if you've bought stuff, even if you want to play single player, as of right now, you will not be able to. There is no talk of a patch to allow single player. There's no talk of unlocking the unlockables. There is no talk of open sourcing the server so that somebody else could keep the game going. It will just be gone. Obviously, it's not the first time we've seen this. We here at PLUGHITZ Live kind of famously raged when EA shut down Playfish, and with it, SimCity Social, which was another very popular game that people spent real money on, and then the rug was pulled out from under them with no warning. And that's the annoyance and the danger of these games as a services. And interestingly, we actually had a guest author, a lawyer, who wrote an article for us. I think it got published right around CES time this year. That was all about the possible expansion of a law whose name I can't remember now, that might make it possible or legal to open up existing software that has been abandoned to disable this type of thing, which I think is interesting. So what do you think, Avram? Is this happening? Does it seem like it's happening more?
It's going to happen, right? It's going to keep. How many years was this open before they shut it?
By the time when it shuts down, it will have been open 8 months.
So not even a year.
No. As of when the store shuts down, it will have been open just shy of 5 months.
So you're taking a gamble when you buy things in game, and that's messed up. That's a problem. right?
Yeah.
I kind of would like to see more full disclosure of this kind of stuff. Uh, I like. I'm not sure that we could stop companies from like having things that are server dependent, but I'd like that are cloud dependent.
Yeah.
But I'd like that to be fully disclosed.
Sure.
Like I don't know if there's a place somewhere in the the TOS that says that, but I mean, like, it should be really upfront, like, okay, when you buy stuff, FYI, this entire, like, how much of this game would work if we shut down tomorrow? I also think, by the way, that should be done with hardware as well, right? Like, I've seen a number of devices over the years that, like, had to call home to the company's servers in order to work. And, you got to wonder, like, what happens when the company decides it doesn't want to support them anymore.
Right. Absolutely. I am currently looking at the listing, in particular, the listing for this game, in the store, and there is now a disclaimer at the top that says that you won't be able to re-download it after July 1st, and that it'll stop being playable on July 31st. But I do not see anything in its description that says anything of use.
Right. So now but here's the thing. Now they're telling you now that they're shutting down. What I would like to see is up front from the day the game launches, whether a success or failure, they somewhere they tell you this game depends on the cloud to run, or this game depends on the cloud to run these features.
Yep.
So here's a great example, right? We kind of played through most of it, so we haven't played it in a while. But my son and I, for a while, were really into playing Disney Infinity.
Yes.
Right. So Disney, really fun game. We were playing on our PlayStation. Now when we bought it, it had already shut down, but we knew, as my friend who had it told me, and we saw that the servers didn't work, that like this game still works. You just don't get some of the cool features. Like,
sure.
One of the really cool features was when the game was working was you could download like levels that other people created.
Okay.
And now you can't do that, but you can play through the levels that it comes with, and you can make your own levels just for yourself.
I was gonna say the map maker probably still worked. It was just the map sharing that didn't.
Right.
Gotcha.
But we don't have the time to make a really good game for ourselves to play it. But,
right.
But like there's a lot of cool features of the game. The game works really well on, like, with the pre-levels. Great. But I would like to see some kind of explainer like that for every game. Like, if we go out of business, these are the features that'll work, and these are the features that won't. Like for example, look at the people who got Pebble. So now they fixed it, right? So that Pebble will work somewhat. Did that actually happen?
We're talking about the smartwatches?
Pebble Watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pebble Watch. Right. So
yeah, I think basically the thing that they put out was that basically when everything shuts down, you won't be able to add new capabilities to it, but it should in some way, shape, or form continue to at least function.
Right. So, like, there's stuff like that, but then there are other pieces of hardware that are completely disabled, can't do anything.
Uh-huh.
So now you have a brick. And I think people should know that up front because they should know what they're investing in.
Sure. I think that's a great idea. And maybe if the market's not interested in doing it, maybe somebody else might be interested in doing it. Maybe putting together a Wikipedia-style thing for it, because it's good information to have. People should. I
think you have a right to know.
Yeah, I agree. We sold.
Mean, it's sort of like.
Go ahead.
I was just sort of like there's I forget what advocacy group is advocating for a right to repair.
Uh huh.
I would advocate this is really simple for companies, a right to know the cloud dependency.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah, we sold a product when I was with Radio Shack. I don't even remember what it was, but I remember that their logo was purple, and I know that there were features on it that were not dependent on anything. But as soon as the service shut down, the device had to call home. So as soon as the service shut down, even the things that weren't dependent on anything stopped working, which was a real killer. I've got a small box of the devices around here somewhere because I was always hoping that maybe I could get another operating system on it and use it for something else, but it never worked. You might be amazed at how much stuff is here in the office with that intention that never went anywhere. I thought it would be a really great soundboard app for the desk. Anyway, yeah. So, but before they announced that they were going to shut down, I never would have guessed that the FM radio capability would stop working when the thing went away. It was bizarre. So yeah, absolutely. I think that's something that should be public information. But unfortunately, currently it's not. We will continue to see this problem. In general, some people it annoys beyond belief, such as myself. Some people have just accepted that that's the way that, in this particular case, gaming works today. That sometimes you spend $60 retail on a AAA title, and it is very quickly abandoned. Evolve. That one angered people. But you know, you've got games like Evolve that are abandoned quickly. You've got the I guess I can't quite call it the new game from Cliffy B because it's officially been abandoned like an hour after it was released. That had in-app purchases, and oh well. It's I think the campaign that our guest author in January wrote about is one way to deal with it, where if the company is unwilling to allow you to keep using a thing that you paid money for, you have the ability to use the thing that you paid money for. I think that's an interesting way of solving it, and in the short term might be the solution. But I think if we're at least warned, this game has a single player feature, but if we shut down the servers, single player's going too. I think that's information we should have before we make a purchase. This week's news from the tubes and F5 Live is proudly powered by RiffTrax. Make fun of movies, or let the professionals do it for you, because that's what they do. The guys who used to do Mystery Science Theater 3000 are back and doing what they do best, making fun of movies. From blockbusters to Fairy King of R. Can't make these things up. They've got a little bit of everything. The way it usually works is for a couple of dollars, you download the MP3 on your computer or on your phone and play it along with your DVD, Netflix, Amazon, wherever the movie happens to live, and laugh. From time to time, they mix it up and they do a live show in theaters nationwide. Their next one is on Thursday, June 14th at 7 p.m. It will be Space Mutiny in theaters nationwide. And they run deals right now. The deal is $2 off on another one you couldn't have made up, Zindy the Swamp Boy. I don't know what to do about this. $2 off right now. A new one will come out next week. To find the deals, to find out what theaters are available for RiffTrax Live, or to find the movies and shorts that you can watch right now, you can go to f5live.tv/RiffTrax with an X. Last week we talked about privacy for obvious reasons, and we discussed the a special version of privacy, and that's child privacy, in which there is a law called COPA, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, I think. And it was enacted in, what do we say, 92 and revised in 2015 or something like that. And
I think it was later than 92.
98 and 2012.
Yes,
There
I
they
remember it came out when I was working at about.com.
That's right. I knew there was a 2. I couldn't remember if it was the 90 or the 10. It was enacted in 98, revised in 2012, and it says that any child, which is defined as 12 or younger, cannot have their behavior or any data tracked or transmitted to a third party without parental permission. Last week we discussed that YouTube does this not because they focus on kids, which is part of a requirement of the law, but they claim that because YouTube knows that children under 13 are using it, they're violating it. That'll be an interesting fight. But because of everything that happened with Facebook, I don't know why it was Facebook that triggered it, not Equifax, but whatever. With everything that happened with Facebook, I guess we're more interested in, people finding out that we like Gordon Ramsay than what our credit score is. There's been a lot of talk about privacy again, which, as Abram and I have said a number of times, whatever it takes to get the topic in people's heads again is whatever is good. So, an interesting report came out this week that took a little bit of AI and a little bit of computer automation and turned it into a search of 5,855 of the most popular child-targeted or family-friendly apps in Google Play. Obviously, doing it in Google Play is way easier than doing it in the Apple App Store because Google Play is a way more open platform. And so what they did was they watched traffic in the apps to look for violations. And boy, did they find them. So there's a number of types of data that apps transmit, right? There's advertising information. There's physical location. There is like crash and analytics, and most of that stuff goes to third parties. Even an app by Google does everything through doubleclick.net, which technically is a third party, even though it's a wholly owned subsidiary. So what they found was that while the Android advertising ID, which is a user regeneratable number, is the way Google requires advertisers to track data in general, was not being used, especially in children's apps. And device hardware was being used instead. A number of apps were tracking physical location without permission, including Where's My Water Free from Disney, was tracking and transmitting to a third party physical location, which when you take into consideration that one is explicitly targeted to children, is a little creepy. And many of the APIs that these companies were sending data to explicitly forbid what they were doing. So not only were they potentially violating COPA, they were also violating the terms of service of the companies that they're transmitting the data to in the first place, which is fascinating.
It ought to be easier. I think, I could be wrong here, but I think that Google Play used to have the ability to actually restrict permissions by app for things like location, but now you either accept the app or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Is that or is there a way around it again?
I think the current version, that's the way it works. I think it's an all or nothing kind of
Right.
scenario.
Which I get sort of because
From a
like if
developer's
the pro
from
yeah,
my standpoint, I understand it. Having
right,
to
you don't
having to
want
wrap every call in an if then or a try catch, that
right,
would slow
exactly right.
everything down.
Right, because like, oh, I want to assume that this permission is there, but now I can't
Right.
because it might not be, and then my app will crash or something like that because it's looking for it.
Hmm.
Of course, the right solution is don't do it in the first place. Now, I mean, don't. There's no justification for that. I
Right.
mean, part of the problem though is like I'll run Google Apps and they'll like want, hey, I want access to your file system, and I'll enable it because I'm like, there must be some reason, and a lot of times there is,
Right.
but you know
You definitely have to be critical about it.
yeah, so I mean it would be good, transparency is really the key.
Hmm.
I mean, although if you're having kids install it, they're not going to spend the time thinking about that,
Right.
so I think, you know, for something to be a kid's app, it should not allow that. And
Right.
then maybe the thing to do, I don't know if there is a way to do this in Android, but if there is, that would be a great story. So first of all, you can turn off location services, can you not?
For the device?
Yeah, for the
Yes.
device, right?
Yes.
So if it's a child's device, why don't you just turn that off? Like,
So
um,
so here's the thing that's interesting about that right there. There are third-party services that all you have to do is send the Wi-Fi name and MAC address, which can be retrieved with a different permission, and they will geolocate for you.
See, that's what I was wondering about because yeah, if they have an alternate means to get it.
Hmm.
But here's my
That's
question.
that's what Disney's doing in the Where's My Water app.
So then even if they weren't so they don't even need to request location permission because they're getting location information through other means, right?
Correct.
Well, maybe Google Play shouldn't be giving your MAC address and Wi-Fi network.
Sure. I totally agree on that. Or it should be its own kind of explicit like admin level app permission. Yeah. Because, there are tools that I
Yeah,
use on
sure.
Android where I want to be able to see all the networks around me and signal strength and stuff like that. I've got one. I had one on my WebOS phone. I have one on my Windows phone. I've got one on Android. So there are places where that would be useful, but they should, if you request that permission, you shouldn't be allowed to list it as a kids app, for example.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yeah,
I,
that's
I think I think Google Play needs to become more fine grained on this type of thing, because here's the thing: the way COPA is written, it is explicit to web properties.
so an app doesn't count.
Technically, no. Though, if they're transmitting to a web service, that may or may not. If the third party is a web service, which it is, that's what they're transmitting to, that might be the kicker. But it's possible that all of this, while being inappropriate and at times creepy, like the covertly doing geolocation without requesting geolocation, it may not be in violation of COPA, which is even stranger. So the 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 thing that the report brings up is exactly what we just talked about. Is that you really if you're using things in the store and you're allowing kids to use things in the store, just like knowing what your game or your app or your hardware requires from the cloud, you should be looking into what the app may or may not be doing, or check out this report, which has a lot of information in it about the big guys, to see what's going on, or just know. The other possibility is just know and understand that apps transmit all kinds of weird information to all kinds of places, and there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it. So make your decision on what you're going to do, what you're going to use. If there's advertising in your app, know that your location is being tracked in one way or another. I guess that's a big important thing. So where's my water free? Probably, since it's free, has some sort of advertising system in it. Know that your location's being tracked, guaranteed, on a mobile device. No ad network will work right without it. So, just if you're letting your kids use anything online, know that information's going all over the place. For right now, that's probably the only thing we can say, right?
Yeah, there's no privacy anymore in this world.
That is for sure. It's just a shame that we can't at least let kids have it.
We would hope.
This week's DRM not included on F5 Live is proudly powered by Amazon Prime. You know your basic capabilities. You know that you get free shipping, sometimes 2 day, sometimes 1 day, sometimes 2 hour. But what you may not know is all the other cool stuff you get. You get Amazon Prime Video, which gives you lots and lots of movies and TV shows that you can watch, including original content included in your Prime subscription. You get Amazon Prime Music, which gives you several million tracks available for free as part of your subscription that you can stream unlimited. You've got Twitch Prime, which gives you two capabilities now. The first is that you get a free subscription on Twitch, which you can use to subscribe to anybody, including us. Or you also get free games through Twitch Prime that are just like using Xbox Live or PlayStation Network. The games are yours. So there's those features and a whole bunch more, and you can find out about all of those features, and if you're not already a subscriber, get a 30-day free trial by going to f5live.tv/prime. So, obviously you and I talk about new product announcements often. Companies are announcing new products all the time, new services, and we see them done in a variety of ways, at big unveilings or booth unveilings at CES, or next week at Collision. We'll see a lot of new products officially announced. We see them at special events, like what Apple and Microsoft and Google do when they show off a new product. They tend to do it at a big splashy event. Sometimes it's done just with a press release, and you and I get our emails flooded with new product announcements every day. One of the ways we don't often see is under oath during a testimony in federal court during a antitrust hearing. Which certainly seems like a strange time and place to do such a thing. And so being the company that you can never quite predict, AT&T's CEO did just that this week. He announced a new streaming service called AT&T Watch, which will be the slimline version of DirecTV Now, which is an online streaming cable alternative. While DirecTV Now, I think, starts at about $35 a month, at&t Watch will be $15 a month and will be, like I said, a very slim line. It will not have any sports packages or anything like that. That's how they're going to keep the price down. It's going to be very slim line. It's going to be the equivalent of the old cable basic package, which gave you just the bottom channels. But it's definitely interesting that it was announced during testimony in court. Seems like a strange place to announce it theoretically. However, the reason why it happened was the testimony was about whether or not at&t buying Time Warner, not Time Warner Cable, because that is now part of Charter, but Time Warner, the content producer, whether or not that would create harm to the customers. And what at&t was saying was, streaming is the way things are going. This isn't going to hinder streaming. In fact, we're creating a new low-cost cable alternative, which was an interesting argument. Obviously packages like this, right, Avram, like PlayStation View or Sling TV, things like that are giving customers a quote-unquote cable choice that they didn't used to have, right? Like, I think you, at least in the old apartment, I don't know about where you are now, I believe you only had one choice, and I have one choice where I am. I don't have any. I have Charter, and there's nothing I can do about it.
I have two choices, but that's still not a great choice.
Right. But with things like this, it starts to give you, you could go with, my guess is Charter or Verizon are probably your choices, right?
It's
Spectrum?
No, it's like what's it called now? It was Cablevision, and now they call it something else.
Right. It was the old place that had Time Warner.
No, Cablevision. It's the people who owned Optimum.
Okay.
Right. So there's that, and then there's Verizon Fios, and I have the Fios right now. But
okay. Well,
those are the choices. A duopoly is still not good.
And that's for direct hardline. But if you wanted to drop the TV option there, you could go with Sling TV. You could go with PlayStation View. You could go with DirecTV Now, at&t Watch. So in that case, his point is accurate. Obviously, the argument is that when a cable operator like at&t, because they've got both what used to be Uverse and DirecTV, owns a content producer, especially one as big as Time Warner, it might affect the prices of other services. That's their argument. We didn't quite see that happen the way the doomsday theorists suggested with Comcast and NBC, but as the selection gets smaller, you might start to see it more.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you have no competition, you don't have innovation, and you don't have good prices. It's never good. It's never good for consumers. I mean, look at what's happening with the airline industry.
Yeah.
Is there one airline? No, but there's so few airlines now that there's not much competition, and people are just flying whatever they can get. So whatever's available to them that has the flight that the time that they want and is reasonably priced. So you just kind of learn to live with things like being treated poorly by your airline, because another airline's just going to treat you the same way. Well, same difference with your cable. So I mean, I think that ultimately the fact that companies don't want to be a dumb pipe right, is
Right.
going to be could be very bad news for consumers. So far, it hasn't totally materialized,
Right.
but let's not wipe the sweat from our collective brow or something yet. I mean,
Because
like,
the Comcast NBC Universal is the only, as far as television is concerned, is the only major pairing that we've seen. There are some smaller ones, but it's really the only major one that we've seen.
but
But if there were
but look
some
at
more, you might end up with some problems.
but I mean, if you want to extend this across the spectrum of media, Verizon owns Yahoo, uh,
And AOL,
and the AOL properties and all that. So
though they do seem to be parting with them at a strange rate lately. Because they sold off MoviePhone 2 or 3 weeks ago. They sold off Flickr this week.
I mean, I'm just saying that, like, so you have net neutrality coming to an end, basically, right? And you have a company that controls the pipe with its own media properties.
Right.
How is it going?
With a collection of content.
Right. How are they going to treat competing content?
Right.
And I mean, you do see this kind of thing happen with the as well with, like, blackouts of channels, right? Like,
Yep.
aren't the negotiations a bit more contentious when other non Comcast cable providers want to pay for NBC and Sci-Fi Channel and all that?
Right. Although I guess in AT&T at that point, in AT&T's defense, having something to fight back with might be in their best interest and in consumers' best interest at that point.
If their goal is to carry all the channels,
Right.
What happens if, when they decide, what, I still want to work with this other company?
Right.
So if you're a subscriber to my cable network, you can get my channel. Want the other person's channel? Tough luck.
The former Bright House networks have had their own local networks that were exactly that. You had to be on Bright House to get Bay News 9 and Sports 47 or whatever here in Tampa.
Yes, we have that too. I mean,
but it's a much smaller, more niche type content versus USA Network.
Right. Well, I mean, there's a difference, right?
Yeah.
When I lived in the city and I had Time Warner there, we had a channel called New York One, which was Channel One, which is a really great local news channel. And then when I moved away, and now I have FiOS One, which is another local news channel, but not nearly as good as New York One. But that's sort of provided by the cable company,
right.
So you kind of expect that. But
and
it's
much more nichey than something like the USA Network or Sci-Fi.
I mean,
which is a wider.
You could live without the local news. We're honest.
Sure.
Without a local news channel, especially without the local news channel of the place you no longer live or whatever. But
especially when you've also, on top of that, you've got your NBC, ABC, CBS, and Fox affiliates to choose from for local news as well.
Right, exactly.
And their digital point 1 or point 2 in most major markets is a 24-hour local news network anyway.
Right, exactly. So it's not like, but if you say, hey, you can't watch, there's shows you want to watch, but you can't watch them unless you get a different provider.
Right. You can only watch the parts of the Olympics that are on the broadcast NBC. But CNBC, MSNBC, USA, all of those networks with Olympic coverage, you have to be on Comcast. And if you're in Florida, sad story.
I mean, there's also fragmentation
Sure.
right now, right? Like with streaming.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think being a cord cutter is going to save you, it's not. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you could buy all the services, but even then, you won't necessarily get everything. So,
Right.
like, I mean, I remember we did a story about this a few years ago on Tom's Guide, and we could probably do another because it changes all the time. But like, there's certain shows on Hulu, but then others you can only get on Netflix.
Yep.
And then others you can only get on Amazon. And then others you can only get on Stars.
Right.
And like
Like
by
a
the
couple
time you
a couple of months ago, Fox pulled all of their animated series from Netflix and made them Hulu exclusives, as an example.
right.
So if you want to watch Family Guy or Futurama, you got to be on Hulu. But if you want to watch other Fox shows, they might only be on Netflix.
So like I want to, I would like to watch Handmaid's Tale, but I'm not subscribing to a whole service just to watch that.
Right. Yeah.
I did, however, subscribe to a whole service to watch Star Trek.
Oh, so that's funny. I knew that was the next thing that was coming.
That's hypocrisy, but I canceled it as soon
when the season was up.
That was worth more to me,
right?
To be honest, but that was one I really wanted to see. And by the way, it was awesome. So it's worth it, and I would resubscribe again to CBS All Access for the duration of the next Star Trek season. But it's strange fragmentation because they only have the one show that I want to watch. Yeah. I think a lot of people aren't going to pay just for that.
Right. And there's a lot of that right now in the streaming space in particular, but like we've talked about before, that spaces tend to balloon up when they get popular. Look at the cryptocurrency market, and then tend to pare themselves back down at some point in the future. But it was just an interesting way of announcing this new service, and I look forward to seeing what comes on it. They say it will launch in just a couple of weeks, which suggests that it does not require that the acquisition be completed to make it happen. So I think that's an important factor of it too. But I like the idea of there being a low cost, like slimline entry in the cable alternative streaming market. Hopefully they'll have, a way to watch it not on the PC for those who want to be able to watch TV on their television.
Well, hopefully they'll have a Roku app or a Fire app.
Yeah. Well, that is our show. For those of you who have joined us live, thank you very much. We always appreciate our live viewers. We have had several this evening. Thank you. If you have not joined us live, you can do so Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern by going to f5live.tv/join us. If you would like to subscribe instead, you can always go to PLUGHITZlive.com/subscribe and see all of our series there. Next week is going to be an interesting week. We will not be on Sunday night because our schedule has changed a little bit for Collision, but that is okay because we will be on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. New Orleans time, so Central, so an hour off from Eastern. We will be on all day with a small break for lunch in the middle of the day. And then Wednesday night, we will be live streaming, not necessarily through our channels, but possibly also through our channels, a crypto pitch session with the Crypto Vixens, which is an organization that got started at Collision last year at an event that we were at, and they've asked us to live stream it. So there will be a lot of content from us, and then the Sunday following that, we will also not have a show because we will not have the studio back in our possession here in Tampa to be able to do the show. So unfortunately, that means that Abram and I will not be together for several weeks after this show. But when we come back, we will have probably a slightly tuned version of the Pilch Point for you with a more Tom's Hardware focused story, which I'm very much looking forward to seeing how that goes. And I guess with that, before we go, I want to once again congratulate Avram on the Tom's Hardware promotion. And
Thank you.
And on behalf of the staff that's not here, I'm Scott.
I'm Avram.
And we will see you back in several weeks for F5 Live. We will see you in 8 days for Collision coverage. Ciao.